Thank you for joining me today for solid waste training. My name is Jonathan Rush and I'm the solid waste coordinator for the Southeast Tennessee Development District. Before we go any further into this training, I want to talk about what solid waste is. Now, solid waste at its most basic form is about trash. This is something that affects us every day. That trash goes into our landfills or is otherwise diverted. While not a topic most people are aware of, solid waste is a very important part of the responsibilities of local government. For example, citizens become very aware when their garbage is not picked up. Consequently, it is important to know about the state of solid waste in our region. Hopefully, this training session will provide guidance on the issues affecting your region and ways to combat it. Going back to landfills, I want to talk about how Middle Tennessee's potential landfill shutdowns are going to impact our region. Now, Middle Point Landfill, which is based in Murfreesboro, has been denied expansion to its landfill by that area's Regional Solid Waste Board. There is currently a lawsuit between the Regional Solid Waste Board and the private business that operates Middle Point Landfill. Meanwhile, the city of Murfreesboro is publicly exploring a waste-to-energy incinerator to reduce or remove reliance on that landfill. Also, Southern Service Landfill, which is based in Nashville, was denied expansion to its 77-acre C&D landfill, and that decision was upheld by the Tennessee Court of Appeals. The 2019 Nashville Master Plan outlined zero waste over the next 30 years, and that was the basis for denial by the Solid Waste Board, and that was upheld by the Tennessee Court of Appeals. Now, this shows the power that solid waste boards, which we'll talk about a little bit later, have over their region's solid waste. But regarding its impact on our region, the potential shutdown of these landfills, particularly the Middle Point landfill, could have a very large effect on our region's solid waste. Middle Point landfill is the largest landfill in the state and it's located pretty centrally in Tennessee. If that landfill shuts down in the next 5 or 6 years, then that trash that goes to that landfill has to go somewhere else. And some of the nearest landfills to that region is our own region. So that is a potential impact that our landfills could have increased tonnages coming from out of our region. And it's something that we have to be aware of as we plan for the future. Now, we talked about Middle Tennessee landfills and how they may impact our region. But one thing that we need to be aware of is where is our own trash going? Now, I put together a list based off TDEC's landfill surveys showing where our trash is going. And I'll go through it briefly. So if you look at Bledsoe County, 77.9% of trash from Bledsoe goes to Ray County, and 22.1% goes to Meadow Branch, which is in McMinn County. For Bradley, 64.8% of it goes to Bradley, but 34.9% of it goes to Meadow Branch. For Grundy, 95.2% of it goes to Meadow Branch after it is first taken to the Marion County transfer station. Now, Hampton County has multiple different landfills that it's taken to. 22.5% of it goes to Bradley, 29.8% of it goes to Meadow Branch, and 42.9% of it goes to Ray. For Marion County, 99.5% of it goes to Meadow Branch after it is first taken to the Marion County transfer station. For McMinn County, 96.3% of it goes to Meadow Branch. For Meigs County, 97.1% of it goes to Meadow Branch. For Polk County, 74.3% of it goes to Bradley, and 25.7% of it goes to Meadow Branch. For Ray County, 88.7% of it goes to Ray County, and 11.2% of it goes to Meadow Branch. And in Sequatchie County, 99.8% of it goes to Meadow Branch after it is first taken to the Soddy Daisy transfer station. Now, as you'll notice, the common theme amongst all of these counties is that a lot of this trash is going to one single landfill, which is the Meadow Branch landfill in McMinn County, which coincidentally is arguably our biggest landfill. But why is it going to one landfill in particular, Meadow Branch, instead of going to other landfills like Ray or Bradley, which would make potentially more sense logistically for some of our counties? That is because none of our landfills are operated by the local governments of their respective counties. They are operated by private landfill operators who can pick and choose where it goes or what they take in. As you see, for many of our counties, they're taken first to a transfer station like Marion or Saudi Daisy. And those transfer stations have no obligations to take it to the nearest landfill. They take it to where they can make the most amount of money for the trash that they receive. So for many of these transfer stations, they all take it to Meadow Branch because for whatever reason that we are not aware of, since we don't know the private dealings of those, they get a better deal. And it's important to note that we can't really control the flow of trash in our region, and that's something to be aware of, as in the future, more trash may come into our region from outside of our counties, and we may not have the power unless we get plans in place to make sure that all of our counties in our entire region, trash is being able to stay within our region. We don't have to find additional landfills to take it to. Now, shifting to a topic which all local governments are interested in, which is the cost of solid waste on their counties. Now, I've put together a list of the estimated cost of solid waste for fiscal year 22 through 23 for all of our counties. As you can see, these costs cover a large portion of the budget. These are really expensive costs, especially for many of our counties. It is important to note that solid waste is a very expensive service that local governments provide. It's not a free service like many citizens may think it is. It's something that is very expensive, takes a large budget to maintain convenience centers, to maintain equipment, to buy equipment, to replace equipment, to do everything. It takes money to do, and that's something that all local governments have to be aware of how to adjust their budgets to pay for it or find other ways to pay for solid waste. As the cost of solid waste becomes more and more an issue for our region, because solid waste is only going to become more expensive, it's important that we have budget solutions so that we can pay for solid waste. Now, here are some potential budget solutions for your respective counties. Development impact fees could be created to help outweigh the cost of new businesses and developments. While we want to encourage businesses and developments to come into our region, the stark reality is that these businesses create more trash as they come in because they create more commercial waste. More homes that come in subdivisions creates more household garbage, which means more trash going into our landfills, which means a higher cost for our counties and our cities to pay for convenience centers and other equipment to help take it to landfills. So we need to look at potentially putting development impact fees on the costs of these housing developments and businesses that are coming into our region. We should also look at putting fees for using convenience centers as limited only to county residents. One thing that we need to change the mindset of people is that viewing solid waste and garbage as a utility and not just a free service. Just like water and electricity and other things, other utilities are a service that incurs additional costs, so should solid waste. And then finally, you need to look at fines for those who are violating the rules. So people that are bringing in trash from other counties and trying to put in convenience centers that are not the county residents need to be fined. And that means that we need to look at putting, police presence or other things at convenience centers, or limiting how many convenience centers you have, so that way you can restrict the flow of trash coming into your convenience centers. I want to talk more about solid waste boards and the power they have for our region. As we talked about earlier, solid waste boards in Middle Tennessee were able to deny the expansion of landfills in that region. And that is something that every solid waste board has the authority under state law to be able to do. They can approve or deny expansion of landfills as long as it's based upon the solid waste plans that were created by their respective solid waste board. Currently, the Southeast Tennessee Region Solid Waste Board only meets once a year to approve the annual project report, or the APR. That report is a report that's done to see what the diversion from our landfills are for our region. And under state law, every region has to have a 25% diversion rate for the landfills. That means that 25% of all garbage in our region has to be diverted from the landfills. But as we saw earlier, it's important that the Solid Waste Board is more active and exercises its ability to control solid waste in its region. I would suggest that the Solid Waste Board for our region meets more often to address issues or share ideas of how they can address solid waste in our region. Solid waste has to be done through a cooperative method. It has to be done through sharing of ideas. If every county or city decides to go and do it single-handedly, nothing's ever going to really be solved in terms of addressing the issue of solid waste, because we can only do so much as individuals. But as a collective, you can exercise the authority of a 10-county region along with the municipalities that are part of that region. As we talk about cooperatives and sharing of ideas, one thing that our local governments may consider is the creation of solid waste authorities. Here's a brief overview of the Solid Waste Authority. Solid waste authorities can be created via resolution of the county commission, or if it's a multi-county solid waste authority, each county commission will pass their own resolution. A board of directors are appointed by each county municipality that are a part of the Solid Waste Authority. Solid waste authorities can enter into contracts, purchase equipment, transport solid waste, and do a variety of other activities that county and municipal governments would typically be responsible for. For instance, a waste tire shredder could potentially be bought through a regional solid waste authority, provide for the shredding of waste tires for the region as a whole, if that cost could be done through the Solid Waste Authority. While Solid Waste Authority is not the end-all be-all of handling solid waste for our region, it is a potential alternative for our counties and or municipalities to handle solid waste for our region. As we end our training, I want to leave you with a few questions that I think everybody should be looking to answer. What does the future hold? How do we pay for the rising cost of solid waste? Are we prepared to handle the increased tonnages of solid waste that will come from within and outside of our region? Do we have other avenues to dispose of waste beyond landfills? Can we get private industries involved to help? It is important to note that we cannot handle solid waste in a reactive way without any planning. We have to plan for the future, whether that be through resolutions or creation of solid waste authorities, creating fines and fees, impact fees, other things that can reduce the cost and burden of solid waste, or find different avenues for diverting solid waste from our landfills. Regardless of how we do it, we have to plan for it. That planning also extends to what we allow to be built in our respective communities. If we're bringing in developments that are not contributing to the reduction of solid waste, then we need to change our views of what we are allowing within our communities, whether that be through enacting zoning amendments to prevent some of these from coming, or putting more restrictions in terms of what they have to do to be able to come into our community if they are not contributing to reducing the cost of solid waste or diverting solid waste from our landfills. All these are things that every local government has to consider. I hope that this was a helpful training session for all of you. I hope that if you have any questions, please feel free to contact the Southeast Tennessee Development District.